Make the claim in the Jubilee video that Christ doesn't claim to ever be God.
That's what I think, and that's controversial too. Amongst Christians, if you say Jesus never even claimed to be God, even in the Gospels, they'll look at you like you've said a triangle has four sides. Mm-hmm. In biblical scholarship, this has been a very mainstream opinion for the past few hundred years.
And why do you believe that?
Because there's no instance in the Gospels where I think Jesus is claiming to be God. Christians think that they have examples, but I think that all of them don't actually apply.
What are your examples and what are theirs?
So there are constantly examples of Jesus seeming to separate himself from the Father, where he says, like, the Father is greater than I am and stuff like this. And people like rattle these off. The problem is, devoid of any context, it's difficult to know what they even mean. So Christians will point to verses like when Jesus says in John chapter 10, he says, the Father and I are one. And when his disciple Philip asks him, when do we get to see the Father? He says to Philip, anyone who's seen me has seen the Father. And Christians point to that and they say, see, he's claiming to be God. But you just got to keep reading. He says to Philip, anyone who's seen me has seen the Father. How can you say, show us the Father? Don't you know that the Father is in me and I'm in the Father? Interesting. Skip to John chapter 17, where Jesus is praying for his disciples and then for all of his Christian believers. And he prays, he's praying to the Father, and he says, I hope that they will all one day be in us, just as I'm in you and you are in me. I hope that they will be in us and we'll all sort of be one together.
I hope.
Yeah, like he prays, like that. Yeah, like he's sort of praying for that to happen in the future, right? So whatever relationship Jesus has with the Father there, and being in him and him in him, it's something that he at least wants the disciples to one day achieve. So if that's Jesus claiming to be identical to Yahweh, the God Yahweh, then he must think that that's something that's available to the disciples.
To the rest of us, yeah.
That doesn't make sense. So we've got to reinterpret that verse. Okay, like there are. This is in John's Gospel as well. Like, and the interesting thing is that most of these important Christological claims only appear in John's Gospel.
And John's is the latest.
John's is the latest.
Which you said has potential.
Yeah, so there's already reason to think it's less historically reliable because it's latest, but also the fact that Jesus is making these claims in front of all of his disciples. And if in John's Gospel he makes explicit claims to be God, like in John chapter 8, he says to his Jewish opponents, before Abraham was, I am. And I am is supposed to be like a callback to the name of God in the Old Testament, and he's claimed to be pre-existent because he exists before Abraham. And a lot of Christians say this is claiming to be God. And the first question that you should ask is, okay, if Jesus actually said this, and that did actually mean that by it, did the other gospel authors just not think it was an important detail? If Jesus said in the full view of his opponents and his disciples, I am God.
Yeah, you'd think it'd
and
be
the
in every
other
single
authors
gospel.
and people say to me, well, I think that the gospel authors were sort of focusing on different things. I'm like, so they just neglected to mention the point where Jesus said, I'm God. So I don't think he historically said this.